Hello everyone, and welcome to the very first Crack-A-Pack video here on this channel, which also means it's our first Aether Revolt Crack-A-Pack video on the channel. I have the pack right here. We are going to open it. I'm going to talk about my feelings about each of the cards in the pack in terms of limited, and then we're going to talk about what I would first pick. Let me know in the comments what you would have done. Now let's go ahead and open this thing. So our first common is Dispersal Technician, which you can see here. It's a fine card. It's not one I love. I mean, sometimes it's just a 5-mana 3/2 that bounces a servo. It's definitely not first pickable. You don't want to be taking it early. You do play it in some blue decks, though. Our next common is Dawn Feather Eagle, a very, very good common. Not really first pickable unless you're going to have a really bad pack, but this thing is really amazing. Turns out adding Vigilance to a +1/+1 Anthem effect is actually a really big deal because it means you can attack and then also effectively block, and that's a really great bonus to give to your whole team. This common is, however, not a playable one, and that next common we have is Wrangle. It's not a common I like at all. It's an okay sideboard card if you're playing a really aggressive deck. You're playing one and your opponent's playing one, because that can just sort of swing the race completely in your favor, but I still don't like it. It does get a little bit better if you have some sacrifice outlets, but most of those are for artifacts, not for just any creature. Here's another very strong common, Lifecraft Cavalry. We've had some pretty good commons in this pack. Again, not first pickable, but I want this in basically every green deck I play. Worst case, it's a 5-mana 4/4 Trampler. Best case, it's a 5-mana 6/6 Trampler, and it's not really that hard to get Revolt at that late stage of the game. Your opponent just like trades their 3/3 for your 3/3, and then you're like, okay, Lifecraft Cavalry. And it doesn't feel good when it happens against you, and it feels pretty great when you do it. Here we have sort of a medium common, Fenhauler. Just a big guy with Improvise who can't be blocked by artifact creatures. That's all he's got going on for him. He's all right if you end up in especially the black-red deck where you have more Improvise or black-blue, but he's not anything special. Definitely don't want to be first picking him. At this point, I think the card I would take, we're going to see more cards, is probably Lifecraft Cavalry. Now we've got Aetherstream Leopard, another solid common, a common that I also want in every one of my green decks. The Leopard is quite strong. It swings as a 4/3 a lot of the time, and that's a great thing. Universal Solvent is our next common. It's, you want this basically if you're in an improvised deck because it helps you improvise, and then in the late game you can actually kill something with it. I don't even play it in all of my improvised decks though, but it's a solid card. After that we have Sweatworks Brawler, another creature with improvise, one of the better ones I think. You probably want this in basically any red deck that has at least a few artifacts in it. Paying 3 for a 3/3 Menace on turn 3 isn't that hard to do with it if you have a couple of implements, and that's a pretty scary thing. But I still think the best card so far is still the Lifecraft Cavalry. We've also got Iron Tread Crusher, sort of the very mediocre vehicle that's around. Gets a little better if you have cards like Prey Upon and things like that that care about your creature's power. So that's something to keep in mind, but it's still not a great card. Then definitely not taking it. We have yet another improviser in Foundry Assembler. This one is just really, I don't find myself playing it very often. It does have the additional bonus that you may not have noticed that Self-Assembler can find it from your Kaladesh pack, and that makes it a little bit better. But it's just hard to get good value out of this because you're just not going to play enough. I mean, you can in the later part of the game you can play it as a 3/3 for cheap, but in the early part of the game it's just not going to do. You're not going to get it out there cheap, and it's just going to be a bad card in your hand basically. Next, we have Trophy Mage, our first uncommon. Trophy Mage is quite good because Trophy Mage lets you search your library for an artifact that costs exactly 3, not 3 or less. I've seen some people mix that up. Exactly 3, and you get to put it in your hand. If you have at least one artifact with converted mana cost 3 in your deck, then you probably want to play it. More than that, it gets even better. But all that said, it's not really first pickable. Well, here I think we have the card that is our new first pick in this pack so far, and that is Pacification Array. It's basically, slightly different anyway. It's not even powered down or powered up. Icy Manipulator, 1-mana artifact, so it's great with Improvise. It's great with any artifact synergy, but on top of that, you can use it to tap artifacts or creatures, and that's just a big game. Whether you're aggressive or defensive, you can use it to tap down your opponent's blocker if you want to attack, and you can use it to tap down your opponent's best attacker if you're just trying to survive. Next, we have Perilous Predicament. Perilous Predicament is definitely an okay card. It just looks like it does a lot more than it usually does, though. Sometimes your opponent just doesn't have an artifact creature, so you don't even get the 2-for-1. And it's kind of expensive for what it does. I'll play it in most black decks, but I'm not going to take it early. I am still most certainly on Pacification Array. Next, we have our rare, which is Greenbelt Rampager. A 1-mana 3/4. There's got to be more to that, right? There is. You have to be able to pay 2 energy, and then you get to keep him. But he does make 1 energy for you at a time. And Greenbelt Rampager is quite good for a few reasons. He's good with Revolt, for one thing, because you can play him and bounce him to your hand, and that counts as Revolt. He's also just a good creature for how much mana you spend. So if you're in an energy deck, he's good. And Greenbelt Rampager, I think sometimes is first pickable, but I think that our first pick in this particular pack is just Pacification Array. It's close, I would say Pacification Array and then Greenbelt Rampager, but I think we definitely take the Array here, which we saw earlier. Just the ability to tap things down whenever you want to is a huge deal. And it's colorless too, so you get to stay open. So that would be my first pick in this pack, and those are my thoughts about the cards in this particular pack. Let me know in the comments what you would have first picked. Also, if you want to make sure that you are entered in a giveaway where you can win all the cards that we open in this pack, including our rare Greenbelt Rampager, you can just reply in the comment to this video. You can only enter once per month. At the end of the month, there will be a big giveaway with all 4 packs that I opened in this month's Crack-A-Pack videos. And whoever wins will get all 4. And you can enter in any one of these videos, but I'll be keeping track of who you are, and you can only enter once per person. So don't forget to do that if you want to make sure you get some free Magic cards. Also, don't forget my content is sponsored in part by 5colorcombo.com. You can head over to their website where they have a store and use my discount code NEETSAHONE5 to get a 5% discount there. Thanks for watching.